time, always.
Hello, Cloud Gurus. I'm Mattias, one of the developer advocates here at A Cloud Guru and Pluralsight, and I have with me Jeremy and Jess, and we are on site at reInvent in Las Vegas at the Sands Expo conference center thing at the Venetian. Anyway, this is an awesome event, but before we jump into all the stuff, which is going to include some sessions and keynotes, I want to get these two to introduce themselves. Jess, do you mind starting?
Sure. Hi, I'm Jess Alvarez. I am an AWS training architect for Pluralsight.
And I'm Jeremy Morgan. I'm a developer advocate for Pluralsight.
Awesome. So we have just come back from the keynote where Adam Selipsky gave us the sort of the main big announcements for today. Today is Tuesday, by the way, which is day 2, because yesterday was Monday, which included Peter DeSantis' Monday Night Live. So we might bring in a couple of the comments from that as well, because this is the first time we're doing sort of a wrap up after that. So, also before I jump into all of the things, if you have any questions, put them in the chat, because we would love to be taking your questions, answering stuff. If we don't know the answer, then we'll try and point you in the right direction. But this is a community, and we want you to be a part of it. So, we went to the keynotes, and also you managed to go to a session this morning.
I did. Busy
What do
morning.
you want to start with? Do you want to start with keynote stuff?
Yeah, let's hit the
All
keynote first. Okay, so of all of the things that that were announced today, the one thing that stood out the most for me was Amazon Security Lake. And so that is the new data lake that is going to make security data collection so much easier, which I think makes it an incredible impact on enterprise customers and anybody really that's pulling in data on security, their security stance from various sources. Can you imagine how optimizing security will be able to grow with the ability to analyze one source of data? It's going to be incredible.
Yeah, so all of the security data that you have all in one place from a whole bunch of different sources.
Oh yeah.
So that you don't have to be trying to jump from one place to the other all over the place. Oh,
right.
Yeah, very, very good stuff.
Big deal.
Yeah, so that's a great takeaway. Do you have a takeaway, Jeremy, you want to throw out there?
Quite a few of them. One of the things that caught my attention right in the beginning was talking about sustainability. That's one of the things that we don't think about a lot. We have these big giant data centers that are using a bunch of electricity and water, and they had announced that they're going to be 100% renewable energy by 2025, which is awesome.
Nice.
And then immediately said, oh, by the way, we're 85% of the way there. It's
That's
like,
awesome, right?
Oh, yeah. And then they're going to
Yeah.
be water positive by 2030. Data centers use just tons and tons of water to keep them cool. So that caught my attention right away. I'm like, this is awesome. I mean, that's something that we all care about, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
And that caught my attention right away. And
I love it. Yeah, I mean, obviously we have to take care of this earth, right? And a lot of effort and attention is being paid to sustainability. Definitely, it's awesome to hear that AWS is taking a lot of that load off of us as individuals in many of the ways, in that they can build the data centers that they're running and the services that they're building to be more efficient, to be more to take care of our environment in a better way. Now, there is a shared responsibility, like everything, just to call that out. It's not just simply everything is magical. We have to do things to stop our own workloads from being inefficient. So Amazon can only do what we let them do based on what we tell them about. So this is one of the things that, in security, it's always a shared responsibility that sure, they can secure data centers and secure services, but if we open the door on an S3 bucket, for example, that's on us, right?
Right.
And the same thing goes for workloads, where if we're creating workloads that are highly inefficient, then although the data centers are definitely going to be a lot better off, we're still not doing our part. So
Right.
we should pay attention to that as well. So.
well, I should refactor some of my lambdas that I've got going right now, is what you're saying. That's what I'm hearing right now.
Honestly, if you're
please
running
do.
lambdas,
All of
I
you.
would think that lambdas are going to be orders of magnitude better efficiency than something like an EC2 instance that's running, where they don't know what's going to happen in terms of the prediction for when it takes off, right? Burstable EC2 instances might actually be a little bit better than some of the other EC2 instances, because that's a part of the model there, but I think Lambdas are definitely the way to go. So you might be better off than you think, right?
I have EC2 instances too, though. So.
Well, okay, so you're guilty. Yeah.
Shaking the finger, shaking the finger.
No, we have EC2 instances. They're an awesome part of our structure that we have these available. And actually, that sort of is a natural segue to all of the new EC2 instances that were being mentioned. So
Many. There were so many.
I'm just looking at my notes here. So HPC 7G and HPC 6ID instances, INF2 instances for inference, and those combined with the extra instances that Peter DeSantis mentioned last night for Trainium and oh man, there are just there's so many of them.
There really are. I feel like we're bombarded with instances.
Yeah,
right now.
Adam mentioned today that there are 600 instance types.
Yes,
600.
600
I
plus.
know.
He added a little plus in there.
Yeah, over 600.
Yeah.
Right? I was wondering, does that mean 600 if you use the different sizes for each one?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. I got to go count. Well, maybe I don't want to count. But
Let's not say we did.
Yeah. But the point is that there are so many different things for so many different workloads that people can choose the ones that work for their situation, right? And that is that's a part of what AWS is constantly offering. Now, I'm partial to the serverless offerings that sort of abstract the individual instances away. I would rather that the AWS service team that's responsible for a serverless service decides, oh, we're going to run it on this instance type because it makes sense, or oh, we're going to move it now to this one. I would rather they just do that for me, right?
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
that
would help tremendously.
I'm glad I don't have to, for example, for SQS or S3 decide what instance type, right? I don't care, just make it work, and they do.
That was one of my biggest takeaways also from the keynote is all the abstraction.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just tons of abstraction, tons of things that are just click, make it easy, the things with Redshift and things like that. And it's like anytime you remove friction from these processes, people are going to do more with it.
Right.
And so there was a lot of things that I didn't even understand, a lot of things about machine learning and stuff like that I'm not an expert on. However, as I'm listening, I'm like, oh, they're making it super easy, super, exactly like you said. I don't want to configure a server, I want to train a model, right? So they're making, reducing all of this friction and stuff.
Totally.
And it's awesome.
Yeah, it's really awesome. And I see that David Tucker called out in the comments, and we now have serverless OpenSearch. We definitely do. And we were going to get to that, but we're glad you called that out because that is definitely, I mean, so many people are like, I don't want to mess with this, right? So I want to dig into that and see what the details are. So thanks for the call out there. And any other comments or questions, keep them coming to the chat. So all right, so there has been a lot of stuff. Let's cover a couple more keynote things if you have some. You were mentioning Data Zone earlier.
Okay, so Data Zone is the new. So it's coming soon.
Yeah. Sure. That happens a lot at reInvent. There's some that's immediately available, some that's coming soon.
Right. These are coming soon. Right.
Okay.
So it's a data management service. It's supposed to be able to catalog, discover, share, and govern data. Really excited to see what comes from that.
Yeah. So it connects to a lot of different data sources, I heard. Redshift, Athena, and probably other things. Auto-populates data sets based on that. But I noticed publishing is a thing that you have to do intentionally, which of course makes sense, right?
That
the
makes
machine
sense.
learning says, oh, I found all these data sets, but a person says, this is something that I want to share easily with the rest of my company, and then they can start using that with QuickSight or potentially other things. So they were saying brings together the producers of data and the consumers of data, bringing that closer together. Again, simplifying it through these abstractions, because otherwise we have all this work that we keep doing, right? I know AWS used to always use the phrase undifferentiated heavy lifting, and I didn't hear that. I didn't sort of ring a bell during the keynote today, but they might have said it, and it just sort of, but in any case, it's the same sort of thing, right? They're taking on the responsibility of doing all of that stuff that we don't have to do. It's not different from client to client. It's something that they can handle, and we just get to benefit from it.
Yes.
That's what I love. Yes, exactly, right? Just running through some more things. They were talking about a zero ETL future. So integrations with Redshift to improve that world, because it can be kind of painful. I noticed QuickSight has print-friendly reports because I think there are a lot of people that like to kill trees with their reports. Well, not that they like to, but they're forced to. It's just part of the thing.
We haven't entered the paperless society.
Not yet. I think that's going to come out in 1985. I think it's scheduled
somewhere,
for something.
maybe 87.
Something around there.
It's going to be paperless any day now. Yeah. So, what year was it? I don't know. Anyway, forget it. Guard duty threat detection for containers at runtime.
That's pretty awesome.
I had notes about that.
Yeah, me too. I was like,
any other notes?
That's part of
talk about that
shared responsibility that you're talking about.
Where
they set up all this security around, and then some yahoo like me goes and spins up a container with all these defaults and stuff, and it's wide open, right?
Open everyone. This is fine.
Maybe for containers they're wide open, but I will call out that by default, AWS is super aggressive at making the services secure by default.
Yes.
It's like the example keeps coming up all the time. S3 buckets. How do you secure an S3 bucket? You don't touch it. Just leave it alone.
And that's that.
Yeah, it's the human error that comes into it. And I mean, you know all about the security. You were just telling me you just finished. Yeah, you should mention the course now because that's a great time.
Plug.
Not shameless.
Just put out a introduction to AWS security course. Check it out if you're just wanting to dip a toe in security, kind of feel around a little bit. That's what you want.
Yeah. So honestly, like it looked like there was tons of really valuable stuff about AWS security. Like, so you understand how it works, how you can dig into it, all throughout. Anyway, you should definitely check out that course. I don't know if we can put it in here or something.
Oh yeah, maybe. Throw a link out, maybe.
I asked for links and our magical people, Sylvia probably winds up jumping on it. It's like, oh, another link. All right, thank you.
Why did you do this to me?
Yeah. Did you have any other keynote things that you wanted to call out?
Let's take a quick spin through here. We already talked about all of the instances. Scroll.
Yeah.
No, nothing else really that caught my eye.
There were a few more things on my list. I don't even know what all of it is about. SimSpace Weaver for like simulation management, and apparently it integrates with Unreal Engine and Unity, so that's kind of interesting.
There were a lot of updates to Amazon Connect.
Oh yeah, Connect,
They had like 4 or 5 different things. Driven forecasting, contact lens with agent performance management.
Okay, yeah.
A new UI that prevents a step-by-step guided action for the consumer going through it.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty cool. And I don't know if you've ever used Connect. That is desperately needed. So
awesome.
Thank you, AWS, for that.
Well, I mean, they're constantly looking at customer pain points, right? AWS, Amazon is so customer focused, isn't it? Like customer obsession is one of the leadership principles, right? So they're constantly looking for these sorts of things and trying to address those issues. So definitely good.
That's why when someone says, why are there so many AWS services? It's like because customers ask for them.
Right.
Yes, exactly,
somewhere
right?
said, I need this.
Yeah.
And it was born.
Interestingly, they'll even add AWS services sometimes to sort of smooth migration paths, where even though you might have they might have like arguably a more cloud native service that would fit better with cloud workloads that you could use, but because a lot of organizations need to migrate their way more slowly, they'll put something else in the middle on that migration path so you can get to there and then hop to the better one over time,
Which is awesome.
It's really smart stuff. Yeah,
really
definitely.
Yeah, we talked about that with Lightsail, and that's how Lightsail is basically like a virtual server,
right?
Which is what we did, 10 years ago all the time.
Yeah.
And you're not going to move everything to a virtual server and keep it there forever. The whole idea is let's run these workloads and do these things, and then let's shift them over here to serverless. So it's a nice service. I use it sometimes to host websites and things like that.
And efficiently, use it efficiently.
Efficiently,
always. Always efficient.
Yeah. Just a couple more things that I remember getting called out. There's Amazon Supply Chain for organizations that are dealing with supply chains and figuring out like how to manage this.
I forgot about that.
Oh,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, that's good enough.
So sorry.
Honestly, I think a lot of these things are sort of indicators for people if they're interested. If this is something that you are like, oh, hey, that's my space, then go check out the AWS blogs. which, by the way, as the keynote goes along, those blogs come live the moment that the stuff is talked about. Jeff Barr and his team, they're like pressing the go live button. I imagine like the controls are, oh, we have liftoff. Anyway,
I imagine that's a big button.
Yeah.
I think the last one that I had in my notes is Amazon One. That was a palm reading identification, so you don't have to use your phone.
Okay.
And so apparently there's a Whole Foods store in my area that uses it, and I'm totally gonna go check it out.
Gonna go check it out. So
Yeah.
you walk into the store and
like in Amigo, that's not a word. Amazon Go.
There you go.
stores,
Yeah.
how they were doing it with us, how they implemented that technology. That is now spreading out to the rest of the world.
That's awesome.
That is very awesome.
Yeah, so
that's a game changer for stores.
Yeah. So like it's instead of all of you put stuff in your cart and then you go check out and everyone's scanning the stuff trying to get it to work and all that, and payment, all that manual stuff. It's literally you're pulling stuff off of shelves, and because it identifies you and the things that you're pulling off of the shelf, it knows what you're taking. You walk out and you swipe your hand and it biometrically recognizes who you are, so that you can then it pays for you. So
and this is like standing on the edge of the evolution of technology. Like this is where we're heading.
Technology is really moving forward. Yeah.
It's incredible.
We live in the future.
We live in the future, yeah.
Ooh.
AWS clean rooms are one of the other things. So for collaborating on data sets without sharing all of the underlying data, because privacy is one of those key things, and if you are combining big data sets, then you are winding up creating a lot of privacy issues. So the couple of industries that they called out there are advertising and healthcare, that they could get particular value out of that. And then in the healthcare field, Amazon Omics for genomic and transcriptomic and proteinomic. I don't know.
No idea.
They're like
I believe you.
Yeah.
there are a bunch of
That sounds
omics,
right.
and that's not my space. I am not dealing with that, but it's for storing, querying, analyzing, and generating insights from all those things. So there's a ton of awesome stuff there. Yeah.
Really exciting.
Yeah.
It was just so
Yeah.
much information. My brain is going bloop 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 all over. Nobody asked me questions.
yeah. Oh man. And I just want to point out one small bit of snark, that they're continuing their trend of rolling the dice for whether they start a service name with AWS or Amazon. It's
Yay.
like, oh, it's AWS
That's
this,
not a
it's Amazon
problem.
that. It's like, I have no idea. Okay, whatever.
Everything is hard.
Yeah. Oh, it is.
I
It
don't
totally is. What's that old joke? There are two hard problems in computing science: cache invalidation and naming things and off by one errors. But anyway. So maybe we should move on from the keynote today and talk a little bit about some of the other things. So you mentioned that you went to a session just before this. So
Yes.
I would love for you to start talking a little bit about that.
So the session, and the title escapes me exactly, but
Okay.
it was something like improving or enhancing the human experience with technology. It was absolutely phenomenal. There were 3 speakers. There was Jessica, I can't remember her last name, but she was from code.org. And what they do is they are integrating code learning into schools that are K through 12. And that's incredible. That is a game changer for the tech industry.
It's so
Because
important.
it makes it so as they're going through and learning regular school things, they're also learning code and technology, and that's what we need. Is we need more technologists. But a lot of people fall out of tech early on, right around middle school, and so K through 12, we got to get them. We got to get them hooked. And so they're doing their part, and it's incredible.
That is awesome.
They're also they also focus on females and underrepresented groups of people, which is also helpful because let's improve diversity while we're at it. So it's incredible.
So cool.
Also, there was Samir from AARP. I'm probably wrong on his name, but he was incredible. And what he's doing is they are implementing several different apps and UIs for customers that help them schedule care things and handle transportation and all kinds of things, so that the older group of our generations of individuals have these abilities and are also included in technology, which is incredible. I mean, coming from the 1920s to now, and you're like, I just need a taxi. Right. So
Yeah.
that's incredible.
Yeah.
I think my favorite speaker, sorry guys, for Jessica and Samir, my favorite speaker was Marcus. And Marcus is from Flick, give me a second,
Oh, yeah.
Flick Shop.
Mm.
I was going to say Flick Ship, it's not, it's Shop.
Yeah.
Flick Shop. And Marcus's story is incredible. He was just under 15 years old. He and a friend committed a carjacking. He spent the next 8 years in prison. When he tried to come out of prison and try to get a job, as you would expect for having a felony, it was difficult to get started.
Oh, man.
Well, he decided he wanted to send pictures to his buddies in prison, and he needed an easy way to do that. So he partnered with a developer, created an app, Flick Shop,
Yeah.
and now you can. He's connected something at 170,000 families by you go to the site, you upload a picture, send a message, it puts it on a postcard and sends it to whoever you want, making everything so much easier to maintain that connection while in prison.
Interesting.
He's also, his company, he's also focuses on bringing in what? Someone who gets out of prison, brain fart. Well, he focuses on that specific group of individuals to hire onto his company. So he's also helping making it easier for people and paving the way to get back into society and start contributing again.
Ex-cons, is that what you meant?
Ex-cons, yes. Thank you.
No worries. Yeah.
Yeah, my brain is like, what are words?
No, yeah. We all are like that so often. Yeah. No, it's all good. Oh, those are really awesome things. Like so many very interesting things. Ideally, we could find a link to the replay for that and put it on the description. It might not be right away because I think that's gonna. It takes a little bit of time between the time when they're recording the session and publishing it, maybe. But anyway, we should try and get you a link for that because you all might want to watch that as well. That is definitely good stuff.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
Yeah. I caught a session yesterday morning by Drew Fearmont, and he was talking about the state of cloud, and that was actually another one that we should put a link in the description for because I think that's, well, I saw it was really resonating with so many of the people in the audience, recognizing that their situation is what he's talking about. And he's talking about not only the cloud skills gap, but he was also calling out that it's a leadership gap because it's the leaders have the opportunity to do something to help the people that are working for them, building their software, running their systems, to actually advance and be able to use this new technology, right? So there's a lot of opportunity there for leaders to step up and take care of the problem and become creators of talent, not just consumers of talent, but also then creators of systems and not just consumers of infrastructure. And so it's sort of the mindset shift that can happen to really have more mature cloud adoption. And that's where it really takes off. So that's another thing that that I think I should plug and you should definitely check out. So, okay, we got a list of plugs here. We got your course, which is going to be awesome. We've got the session you went to this morning about technology changing the world.
Yeah, the human experience.
Human experience, yeah. And Drew's talk on State of Cloud, also a really valuable thing. Man, there's so much stuff going on. I don't know if you have any shout outs that you want to make for anything. It's probably fine. We've given enough.
Nothing for today.
All right, yeah, we'll have more shout outs as the week goes on as well. By the way, in case you were wondering why there's so much noise going on, we are live at reInvent. So this room that we're in right here is a room that's like a meeting room, but it's an open air to the rest of the conference. And outside there is the trade show where all of the vendors are walking around. We have our booth, and you can play our Cloud Quest game, Pluralsight Cloud Quest, and you can get shirts like this. This is the Hindsight shirt from yesterday. There's a low stock on that one. And then this is the Insight shirt from today. Tomorrow will be Foresight and Pluralsight. So it's like new stuff going on. So definitely check out the booth if you're on site. Yeah, there's awesome stuff going on all over the place here. And all of our socials, we're trying to put out all the stuff that connects you from wherever you are to this event. Because most of you who are watching this stream right now can't be here. Some of you are maybe in your hotel room and connecting with, if you missed the keynote or you wanted a shorter version, that sort of stuff, that's fair. That's totally all right.
It was long, understandable.
Yeah, no judgment there. It's, yeah. Do you guys have any other things that you wanted to add about this stuff? Otherwise, there's last night's keynote that I wanted to mention a couple of things about.
Go ahead.
Yeah. All right. So Peter DeSantis last night, the Monday Night Live keynote, was talking about a number of interesting things. Some of the EC2 instance types that we talked about already were announced then and sort of re-announced for. Most people don't go to the Monday Night Live keynote. Most people go to the Tuesday morning, the Wednesday morning tomorrow, where there's an ML and AI focus, and then Thursday, Werner's keynote, always amazing as well. It's like it's not all about announcements, but it's all goodness. So definitely, we're excited to go to that as well. But last night was a really great keynote as well. So Peter DeSantis wound up walking through a number of different really deep technological advancements that they've been making to make AWS work so well. But because there's such deep announcements, it was interesting because he'd start every announcement with this like primer of like, this is what this situation means, so because you don't understand what we're talking about, of like how we're communicating networking information or all that, showing the great animations of how the data is flowing, and we made all this better stuff, see this different animation that's so much better, and it's like, oh, okay. But it was like for ML, for networking, for and one of the key things, actually, this is like my greatest takeaway from this, was the Lambda cold starts. So they've made so many amazing improvements to Lambda cold starts. They're claiming that Lambda cold starts with this new stuff can be literally as fast and indistinguishable from warm starts. Like, seriously, right? I know. Okay, so there are a couple of caveats because the way it works, he walked through like the description of how this is all set up. But so when a Lambda's cold starting, they need to find a place on a host to run that, and they need to get like all the data over there. They need to initialize the Lambda container, and then they need to start running the code to handle the event, right? So they've taken a really hard look at all of the different stages in that. So with the Firecracker system for virtual machine management, instead of like big EC2 virtual machines, even like the T2s they said they started with when the Lambda first came out, they're burstable and they're like better for this. They pack them a little bit more closely, but they're not as well suited as Firecracker. Firecracker can start machines so much more quickly that it's already really dropping the amount of time. But the initialization for the container of like the JVM starts up and all of your classes are doing all these things, then that part takes a whole bunch of time before you can start handling events. So they start up the container, they snapshot the container after all of the initialization, and then that's what they restore. So you have to hook into this to manage a few things like pseudo-random number generators, for example. You don't want them to be the same across different ones. So they have a system for managing those sorts of things. But they manage the snapshots in a much better way. So the snapshots themselves are not only like way further along in the initialization, but they store them compressed with deltas instead of the whole snapshot. And so all of these improvements, they're starting these things up in like tenth of a second, sort of like 100 milliseconds-ish was like, this is, and even potentially lower. Like, so like the orders of magnitude of cold starts have been dropping, and now it's like, it's tiny. Which is amazing because Lambda is ideally suited for spiky workloads, right?
Yeah.
And a spiky workload is going to have more cold starts when you're ramping up, you're scaling up that load, and now it just sort of handles it magically. I mean, this is why I say I want them to work on this, right? Like if I was supposed to build this system, am I going to get this right? No.
Absolutely not.
No. So I mean, I love that. That was like a big highlight for me. So
that's huge.
Yeah.
Oh man,
I was really excited.
I'm going to read a lot about that.
Yeah.
And you should too.
It was definitely a good thing. I should look up the name for the thing because it was. Oh man, we should give you the. Snap Start. Lambda Snap Start is the thing.
That's catchy.
Yeah, it's a snappy name, right?
Snap Start.
Awesome.
Pretty good, guys.
All right.
Good work, AWS. That was a good one.
Yeah.
I'll give you, you know.
Oh yeah, I thought you were leading right there. So anyway, it's all good. Any other call outs for anything? Any things that we've missed? Anything you want to talk about?
So I don't know if you guys have done any rounds on the floor. There are some pretty interesting booths this year, which is really incredible. I mean, Riot Games has that fully immersive booth where all the walls are videos going.
Nice.
You step into it and you're in a video game. How did they do that? I don't know.
That sounds fun. I got to check that out.
It is so cool.
Nice.
There's the VR game station. You set up, put on your VR set, and you're killing baddies with your buds. Like, they really stepped it up this year. I'm really excited to go through and play.
Yeah. It's such a great event because there's so much to experience here on site. And there's a lot that can be experienced virtually, which is great. They're bringing more and more and more of these things. But if you are on site, you definitely need to check out the things that you can't get virtually. Because a lot of the virtual things as well will be available as replays, right? You can check out the YouTube videos for a session that you might have missed. You can't check out the YouTube video for an interaction on the trade show floor or a chalk talk. The chalk talks are really interesting, where a small number of people get together with AWS experts and like talk through problems that they're having in their business, designing solutions, literally chalkboarding them, whiteboarding them, that sort of thing.
That is so cool. I'll have to check one out. I don't think I've ever been to one.
Yeah, cool.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah. You should to check on the session and see if there's one that catches your interest there. Yeah. And then there are other things like the jams, the security jam, and you grab a team of people, whether it's preformed or not, and it can be a lot of interesting stuff. But anyway, so there's a lot of really awesome, good stuff going on, and we will continue to be bringing this stuff to you as best we can as the week goes on. We're trying to have these streams to connect you with some of the announcements, to give our thoughts on it, and we hope that you've gotten value out of this. And I guess we'll catch you next time, but until then, keep being awesome, Cloud Gurus.
Keep being awesome.
Keeping awesome.
I knew what we were supposed to say.
Yeah. I didn't prep you all. It's all good.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Don't tell anybody that happened.
We're still live, I think.
Right.
It's all good.
It's fine. This is fine.
All right. Take care.
Thank you, everybody.